Alrighty, guys, you've made it through week 2. This week, we're going to focus on how your customers acquire your product and how your venture acquires customers. Upon completing this unit, you should be able to do the following. 1. Distinguish types of decision makers and their roles in the buying process. 2. Map a process for the customer of a biomedical product to purchase and obtain the product. 3. Map a sales process to acquire a customer for a biomedical venture. And 4. Differentiate between short, medium, and long-term sales strategies. These videos in Step 12A introduce you to champions, end users, economic buyers, and other roles in the customer purchase decision-making process. It's a great foundation for understanding the complexities of the biomedical decision-making unit that will take a deeper dive into Steps 12B and Steps 12C. In this module, we'll cover what is reimbursement, why it's important, reimbursement strategies and planning, coding for reimbursement, and code types. Few people actually pay for their own medical devices. Rather, third-party private or public insurance companies typically decide whether or not to pay for or reimburse for a device. In the United States, Medicare is a public insurance program that accounts for about 46% of all healthcare expenditures, with an array of private insurers covering the rest. Reimbursement is important because it could account for a significant portion, if not all, of the revenue for your biomedical venture. While it's certainly possible to market and sell medical devices without reimbursement, your market will be limited to those people who are willing and able to pay without support from their insurance provider. You may have heard stories of how difficult, slow, and costly it is to get FDA clearance and approvals. Well, in most cases, getting FDA clearance or approval is faster and easier than getting a reimbursement code. It may be possible to operate under an existing reimbursement code, but that comes with its own set of implications. Navigation reimbursement is complex. For now, it's sufficient for you to be familiar with reimbursement and the concepts we'll cover here. But if you're expecting to be reimbursed for your product, be sure to budget for a reimbursement expert to advise you on strategy and manage the process. Biodesign, our optional text, defines common procedural terminology, or CPT codes, as codes used to classify medical procedures in a standard way so that the same procedure is reimbursed in the same way across all facilities, also known as HCPCS Level 1 codes. Physicians and facilities must submit bills to payers in order to get paid or reimbursed for medical devices used in treating their patients. If physicians and facilities are going to get reimbursed for your device, you'll need to address coding, coverage, and payment. Coding varies depending on the setting. HCPCS codes, or HCPCS, an acronym for Healthcare Common Procedure Coding System, which is used for outpatient settings and physician inpatient settings. ICD-9-CM codes are used in inpatient hospital or other facility settings. You can use the table above from the biodesign as a reference, but reimbursement is a complex subject to understand and one that generally requires specialization to manage the coding, coverage, and payment process. Like FDA clearance and approvals, this is another area that you'll want to be familiar, but make sure you budget to hire experts and advisors to lay out and execute your regulatory strategy. Step 13 takes you through the customer's decision journey. Click the link in the lecture to access the videos. Okay, now we're going to shift from reimbursement to sales and marketing. Step 18 takes you through the process of acquiring customers from your venture's perspective. This will become the foundation for your sales and marketing strategies, plans, and operations. You can use a 4-step process to help map it out: awareness, interest, decision, and action. You can remember this acquisition process using the acronym AIDA. It's a simple tool for answering these 4 important questions. First, how will your target customer realize they have a problem or recognize they have an opportunity? Some sales methodologies call this the pain point. If a prospective customer doesn't have a pain point or isn't aware of it, they're not going to have any interest in the solution your product offers. Once your target customer recognizes the problem, how do they find solutions? Or how do solutions find them? Second, how and when does your target customer move from awareness to action? Third, how and when do they move from the interest to making a decision to purchase? And once they've decided to purchase, you'll need to address the transaction process itself. Do they sign a contract? If so, Who manages that and how? Do they accept the terms of service or user agreement on a website? What forms of payment do you accept? How do you collect the money? Along this journey, you'll need to understand what objections your customers might have and what other solutions they might consider. While this may seem like a logical process, oftentimes, purchasing decisions are emotional decisions that are rationalized after the decision is made. You'll want to consider how your sales and marketing support and guide them through this emotional and local process. Over time, your venture should become more efficient in acquiring customers. This happens because you will develop a better understanding of their journey through the decision-making process, your marketing channels, tactics, and messaging will yield a higher converting leads at a lower cost, and your sales team will gain experience and improve their conversion rates. At least, that's what should happen in a well-managed, innovation-driven enterprise. If it doesn't happen, your business probably is going to cap out as a small or medium enterprise. To plan and account for the different strategies and costs in the early stages of your venture, we'll break your sales and marketing into 3 phases: short-term, mid-term, and long-term. The length of these phases will vary for every business, but there are some common characteristics that define each. Short-term sales and marketing strategies are generally characterized by the high costs and low production. This is the result of just starting out and having no pipeline, but also because it's typically sales and not marketing driving the process. And while marketing can be expensive when it's done properly, it's much more cost effective than your sales team. During the short-term sales, probably account for 80 to 100% of your budget, and results in marketing may account for 20% or less. Because you're just beginning to test marketing channels, tactics, vendors, technologies, and people, this 20% generally produces very little in terms of results. However, if you don't bite the bullet and do it, your venture will never scale. As you move into the midterm, these budgets and results generally balance out at about 50% sales and 50% marketing. And then as you move into the long term, the imbalance generally shifts towards marketing, which now accounts for 80% of the budget, and results in direct selling accounts for about 20%. Additionally, in the long term, marketing strategies and tactics become more diverse and sophisticated. Existing channels are optimized and become more efficient, and new channels are introduced. Thank you.